the exit polls are suggesting it's a decisive mandate in favor of the BJP.
They've got the direction right, then this is going to be a much more...
a wave.
Yes.
A BJP that is running away with this election.
इस बार दिल्ली में भाजपा सरकार बनने जा रही है।
पोल्स का परिणाम ही है कि संजय सिंह और इन सब की भाषा बदल गई है। जिस तरह की भाषा का ये उपयोग कर रहे हैं, ये हारा हुआ आदमी, निराशा से डूबा हुआ आदमी और एक अनार्किस्ट ही कर सकता है।
नेता मंत्री तो छोड़िए, हमारे कार्यकर्ता आप उनको भी नहीं तोड़ पाएंगे। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के सच्चे सिपाही हैं हम लोग।
Namaste. Delhi के दिल में क्या है is what we're going to find out in a few hours from now as I step out of this bus that carries the fate of perhaps who is going to be sitting on the kursi. Netaji comes out with the numbers that the poll of poll predictions are. Let's start with those numbers because the exit pollsters have said कि दिल्ली में हवा बदल रही है and that there will not be Arvind Kejriwal as Chief Minister. There may not be an Aam Aadmi Party too, because most of the pollsters have come out and said that there is a clear shift in the voter perception with the Aam Aadmi Party over the last 10 to 12 years, and it's the BJP that could break nearly 30-year jinx and come back to power in Delhi, the state Vidhan Sabha of Delhi, for the first time since 1998. So what is the overall poll of poll numbers? Once we take a look at most of them, look at today's Chanakya and Axis India. Both of them have said 50 par hai. Why? Because their thought process is if there is a 5% difference in vote share, then it will be a nearly sweep election. It will be a wave against the AAP for the BJP. It's more an anti-AAP vote. The projection as of now is that the BJP plus in Delhi Vidhan Sabha will get around 43 seats. So 40 plus seats so guaranteed hai. Some of the pollsters are saying 50 bhi touch kar sakta hai. There are some who believe the AAP is in with a chance, but they may fall at least 8 short of the halfway number. The AAP may still get about 27 seats as per the overall pollsters. It's a complete rout. They may get to single digit or less than 20 seats. No, but it's a clear slide from 62 in 2020 to 27 in 2025 as per the pollsters. Zaka Jacob with us here in the studio, Pallavi Ghosh, Aman Sharma and Ravi Srivastav also joins us. Zaka, even as the Netaji departs, thank you Ji. I'll come back to you and we'll get you more numbers in just a bit. But first, Zaka, are you surprised with these numbers? Could there be a twist in the tail? Are there a certain group of voters who may perhaps have a different mind of their own?
Well, there could be a group of voters who are not speaking to the exit pollsters, who may be suspicious of the exit pollsters. But if you look at the chart that you had just put out, at the higher end, like you said, both Axis India and today's Chanakya, 50 or 51, around there is the range that they're giving to the BJP. At the lowest end for the BJP, of course, if you were to take away the We Preside poll, which is the only poll which is suggesting an AAP victory, all the other polls are saying it's a BJP victory. At the lowest end, they're predicting 31. So it's between a 30 and a 50 range as far as the BJP is concerned. For the Aam Aadmi Party, the lowest is 10, which CNX is predicting, and the highest, of course, again, I'm taking out the We Preside poll. If you were to take the We Preside poll out, I think the highest would be 33 to 38, which Xenia is giving, and similar to what the Matriz poll is also giving, 32 to 37. I think one thing is clear. The third party is not opening its account, or it's barely opening its account. So the Congress was not much of a factor. Certainly it was seemingly a two-horse race between the AAP and the BJP. The others also not opening their account. If it's a two-horse race, if it's a direct choice before the people of Delhi, Party A or Party B, I think it will be a decisive verdict. You will not get a hung assembly. You will get a decisive verdict, and dare I say, you will get a pretty definitive, almost wave-like verdict. That is how historically elections have been. Whether there will be a surprise on the 8th, we don't know. But as we bring in our guest, have I spoken too soon, Rahul Shivshankar?
You've got certainly a very long neck.
What is the RSS thinking? The pun is intended.
Very, very long neck you've got. I hope there's a block that big. No. But look, I really feel that this is actually a two-horse race. The Congress might end up only in a few seats damaging the AAP, but fundamentally this is a two-horse race, and it all will come down to the women voter and the lowest of the lowest classes who are concentrated in northeastern Delhi. I think they hold the key. The middle class, I don't know how much of a factor it is. It might have sort of swayed to the BJP. At least some of these polls seem to be suggesting that, but I think there's a huge amount at stake. So without getting into predicting what's going to happen in an hour or so, I just feel that there's a huge amount at stake. The BJP has never been called an underdog in any Hindi heartland state except for in Delhi and to some extent in Jharkhand. Okay, here they go in as underdogs. Can you imagine? In the capital of this country, that in Lok Sabha election after Lok Sabha election, and there have been now 3, have given a clear sweep, and before that 2 to the BJP. So at the state level, something happens. 3.5 decades the BJP, 3 decades the BJP has not been anywhere close to sniffing power. So that's one aspect. Secondly, the BJP knows that the Aam Aadmi Party, apart from the Congress, is the only other non-BJP, non-Congress party to actually win 2 states. And in Goa, they did credibly. They have in Gujarat a sizable vote share, and there are green shoots in other parts of the country. And they don't want the AAP to spread further because they realize that even on the plank of Hindutva, for example, the AAP plays that game effectively. So long term, and Mr. Kejriwal has many years ahead of him, could pose some sort of a threat to the BJP existentially, in a decade or so. But for the AAP, really, Anand, this has become a battle for survival. If they lose Delhi, Delhi is where the reputation of the AAP was found.
Delhi, no?
It all starts. So if you cut the roots off, if Arvind Kejriwal is delegitimized in the eyes of the public as somebody who no longer is the torchbearer for a clean third alternative, you got a problem for the AAP.
So that's what RSS is thinking. What is PG thinking? What happens with the Congress party? What happens in Delhi? So let's ask the PG in our studio.
The difference between PG and PGV. I just want to underline that. Yeah, there's PG and then there's PGV. Yeah, PG.
But just look at all the figures. I mean, everyone is talking about 0 seats for the Congress party. I think if the Congress party manages to cross the 6 to 7% vote share, they would feel that they have arrived. Whenever I went and started meeting the Congress leaders, even the ones here in Delhi, they seem to be more interested in seeing that Kejriwal should lose. I mean, rather than whether we should win or not. So that's the kind of feedback we got from them. But they went very late into a game. We've been talking about this. They just couldn't make up their mind. There were people like K.C. Venugopal, Rahul Gandhi to a certain extent, Mallikarjun Kharge, who felt the India bloc was more important than, winning this election. And then someone told them, and it dawned on them, it doesn't really work because if your larger goal is to defeat the BJP, you cannot be wiped out of state after state. I mean, you use that logic in West Bengal and look what has happened to you. I still remember bang in the middle of the polling, Mr. Kharge goes to Kolkata, does a press conference. Actually, he did it in Murshidabad, which was Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's constituency, and he trashed Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, and we saw what happened.
Yeah.
So the Congress has got very late into a game. Why will a voter take them seriously? I mean, most of them tell me, the few I met, कि इनको वोट देने से फायदा क्या? ये तो खुद ही चुनाव नहीं लड़ना चाहते. That is something which is going to end up.
No, and there is an RG who's still obsessed with what's happened in Maharashtra rather than focusing on what may happen or could happen in Delhi. But Aman Sharma, could there be a scenario where AAP wins but Kejriwal loses? What happens then?
Well, Anand, I would say that, I think this is a closely contested election, 2-horse race. I agree with Zaka and Rahul both that it's a 2-horse race. Whoever will win decisively. Both camps are also very confident, by the way, that they are winning this election. I would say for the BJP, this particular election was the most conducive situation for the BJP to come to power. Look at the odds which are in their favor for the BJP. There is grave corruption allegations against Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, different from 2020. Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Sisodia, half the cabinet going to jail. Again, corruption allegations. The perception was against the Aam Aadmi Party. The freebies debate. AAP's trump card has been the freebies. BJP coined the Revdi culture term in 2020 Delhi election. This time they've done a complete U-turn, saying we will also offer the freebies. We will, in fact, outdo the Aam Aadmi Party. The face, yes, all this time the BJP did not have a face in Delhi, but this time you saw the Prime Minister's fervent appeal to voters, give us one chance. So I think BJP has thrown the kitchen sink in this election. They have tried their best and they feel that this is their best chance. If they don't win now, when will they win? Everything is in their favor. But I think what is still going for the Aam Aadmi Party, why I would not rule out Aam Aadmi Party from this race, though the exit polls are ruling them out. The rupees 2100 scheme for women, which AAP launched very early. BJP, I feel, was a bit late in launching its rupees 2500 promise. AAP launched it very, very early. Lots of registrations have been done under that scheme. So, once women get that pamphlet, they have filled up the money. They filled up, for this dole out. They feel the money is going to come when, Kejriwal
No, but here's
wins.
the caveat. Those registrations were not done under the aegis of the Delhi government. It was done under the pamphlet of the Aam Aadmi Party, and they were AAP registrations. So that's one part. But yes, Rahul Verma and Smita Prakash also with us. But there are many who believe that the previous schemes of a free bus service and some of the other suvidhas that was given to the working class women of Delhi stood them in good stead, and they still believe in Kejriwal. And is there a whole perception that may work in favor of the AAP that Kejriwal and the top members of the cabinet have been targeted? Ravi Srivastav, today the benefit of you being in the studio and our guests being Rahul Verma and Smita Prakash being not with us in studio. So you start first. Ji.
Anand, first of all, AAP has been in last practically all elections you see since 13, 15 and then 20 and even the MCD. Everywhere the exit polls were very, very conservative as far as the AAP seats are concerned. They have been showing much less misses, sometimes in 10 seats, sometimes 20 seats and all. But they always surpassed that and they got sizable number. And they have been in power for last 11 years.
Right? One caveat, my memory serves me right. 2020, the AAP was expected to get a big number. 2015 also there were pollsters who said that the AAP has the momentum. 2013, yes, I agree, ki thoda idhar-udhar dawa-dol tha because nobody knew the AAP.
I am referring to the exit polls.
No, I am talking about the exit polls only.
Yeah,
there were pollsters more than this time around who had said that the AAP has the mandate.
Right.
Yes, please.
So now the situation is that Arvind Kejriwal is fighting a battle for his survival and he has put in the best foot forward. It is not the sympathy factor which is going to help AAP, but the fact is that what Arvind Kejriwal has done in last 10 years, I think those fruits he is going to get definitely. So AAP is, this time I just wrote down on a tweet also, Bhavishyavani, that the seats will definitely reduce, but AAP is going to be winner and AAP is going to form the government. The only thing what Arvind Kejriwal is afraid of is Operation Loot Us, which has been happening not 1, 2, 3, 4.
अगर कंफर्टेबल नंबर्स आ रहे हैं तो फिर लूटस तो होगा ही नहीं सर. लूटस की बात तब आप करोगे जब आपको लग रहा है कि भाई बॉर्डर लाइन पे होगा.
And then there is looters.
हाँ, so अब if Delhi की जनता says what they have conducted over the last 5 years is Operation Loot Us, then AAP won't come into power. So Smita Prakash and Rahul Verma. Smita Prakash.
Look, since all your guests have spoken on issues, let me just talk about the optics of campaigning. Something seems to have changed, in the first week of February. In fact, till the last week of January, every reporter who met with, and Pallavi and Aman will tell you this, that every reporter who met with voters and community leaders was under the impression that the Aam Aadmi Party was ahead because BJP was late into the game in ticket distribution and they seemed to be a divided house. Congress was hardly there. But Virendra Sachdeva, who heads the Delhi unit, he exhibited some kind of a quiet confidence which many reporters was feeling that it's kind of misplaced. Jay Panda, who was looking after granular details, kept saying, "Abhi ruk jao, Abhi ruk jao." Now, towards the last week of January, senior leaders had been assigned districts. I mean, people to the caliber of Bhupendra Yadav. By the first week of February, you had Manohar Lal Khattar coming in, you had Naib Singh Saini for the Jat Haryanvi voters, you had Yogi Adityanath coming in, who has a universal appeal. Then they brought in the others, the chief ministers like Himanta Sarma for Assamese speakers, Telugu speakers met with Chandrababu Naidu, and then you had Purvanchalis ke liye you had Manoj Tiwari, Ravi Kishan, then you had Bihar Deputy Chief Minister coming in for more. So, Dhami was here. And then again, I mean, look at how many Marathi speakers do you think there are in this
Fadnavis
city?
was also there.
Even then you had Fadnavis, correct, Kumaraswamy had come in. So, Fadnavis, exactly how many Marathi speakers? Yeah, a couple of thousands, but still unke liye bhi. And then you had Amit Shah and Modi, the big leagues coming in. Now the Congress could have done the same thing. Pallavi will bear me out. They could have done the same thing. They could have got Sharad Pawar and Stalin to come in for Marathi and Tamil speakers. They could have got Kharge and Revant Reddy to speak with Telugu speakers. They could have got Sachin Pilot to speak to the Gujar, Rajasthani and the young voters. But nothing. They didn't bother at all. The Aam Aadmi Party got out Bhagwant Mann, but how much did you see Raghav Chadda campaigning? A couple of nukkad meetings and maybe 1 or 2 rallies, and that's about it. Where was Swara Bhaskar? They could have got Swara Bhaskar. Where was Jaya Bachchan maybe for the Samajwadi Party, you had Akhilesh campaigning? Why didn't they get her to come in? So, she could have come in and maybe campaigned for Atishi, who was looking a little flabbergasted that, Biduri comes in last minute and he was giving her a run for her money. So, there was a lot that the others could have done. Aam Aadmi Party could have upped its game, but they still rely on that one icon they have, which is Arvind Kejriwal. So, people of this city have had it. They don't want this drama to continue with regard to, mujhe Operation Lotus aa raha hai, ye aa raha hai, wo aa raha hai. It's all done now, na? Vote has been cast. So, when they voted, if you remember, Anand, there was that film, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, Gutter Ke Liye Jiye, Gutter Ke Liye Mare. I don't know, it was probably way before your time.
No.
But, it's that right thing that people are sick and tired of living next to sewage, next to stinking sewage lines, garbage not picked up, stray dog menace. So while they might have sympathy for in 2013 elections and subsequent elections that the BJP machinery went after Arvind Kejriwal, all those things is fine, But the thing is, kitna sympathy, na? First, solve my problems, which is like living next to a gutter. Solve that. Solve the sewage issue. Solve the garbage issue. You cannot live next to stench 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
So, you compare Satisha in a role in a coffin doing nothing but still stealing the show there. So, who plays that role in these elections, one wonders. But Rahul Verma, your thoughts?
Who's in the coffin? Who's in the coffin?
That's what I said, one wonders.
You mean literally the Aam Aadmi is in the coffin? If that's what you're insinuating.
If you go by what the Samajwadi is saying.
No.
Oh, okay. The EC is in the coffin.
Can I come in?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, Smita, quickly, and then Rahul. Yeah.
That's what Akhilesh Yadav said. Yeah, that's what Akhilesh Yadav said today, that it's the EC which should have been in a coffin. And he said in Parliament that I'm in Parliament today, otherwise I would have worn white for mourning.
No, but I think on result day it will be the EC that will be sipping the coffee, while the others may be on different antidotes and potents. But yes, Rahul Verma.
Thank you. So I'll make 3 points. First, I think, is regarding the turnout. So if you look at what seems to be happening over the past decade, first the turnout rose between 2008 to 13 and then to 15. And after that, the turnout has been declining. It declined a couple of points last time, and now from 62, it is around 60%. If women voters, and as Rahul Shivsankar mentioned about sort of like poorest of the poor voter making a difference to what we might see tomorrow, then it would depend on the relative turnout between men and women, as well as sort of like upper half of the economic spectrum versus lower half of the economic spectrum. Because in some ways, men are more among the electorate. It's 54% men and 46% women. And some pollsters, whatever number they have given, I think there is some gender differences in voting. So ultimately, it will sort of like boil to the turnout. Second point is regarding what Zaka mentioned. See, there is a bipolarity developing in our politics at every level. think about what happened in Lok Sabha election. Any party that was not part of NDA or India camp got thrashed in sort of like seat share, right from AIDMK to TRS to YSR and Shiromani Akali Dal. I can name parties, BJP. But that's what happened, and this will happen even in Delhi as well. So in terms of seats, I think Congress is going to be where most polls are projecting. I think the critical question is going to be whether they go to 7-8%. Now, that's a low percentage, but from their own perspective, that is from 4 to 8, right? And so if that 4 to 8 jump is concentrated in 8 to 10 seats, in a small state with 70 sort of like Vidhan Sabha, 10 seats is going to change the entire verdict in which way it's going to go.
Okay, Rahul.
And the third point, which is sort of like about, I think this is clear, which is about the gap is going to be lower in terms of vote share, how it was in the last 2 elections. And that's why even seat translation is not going to be in favor of one party in a way that one party gets 60 plus seats. So that way, while one party may get a clearer majority, you may still see sort of like tightening of that gap.
So you believe it's going to be a tighter race compared to 2015, 2020, where AAP had cleared at least about 15 to 16% more vote share, 52%, 38%, and Azaka. This time around, see, how many of these exit pollsters have said that there will be more than a 5% difference in vote share? Nalin Mehta is also with us. So let's start with you. How much is that critical? Because Pradeep Gupta was saying, if there's a 5% difference in the vote share, there will be a big seat share gap. But if the gap, as most pollsters are saying, is 2-3%, 4% between the BJP and the AAP, then what happens? Do you agree with then these kind of seat projections?
The credible pollsters, the ones that have a track record, if you see their polls, it's 5 to 6%, roughly that range. 5 to 6% is, by the way, the difference in between a landslide in UP between Samajwadi and BJP, right? In both the last 2 elections. So I think if it's a 5 to 6% difference, you will not see a close contest in seats, in my view. But there are a couple of things I want to add to what Smita was saying. See, there has been a trend line in this election. 2 months ago, everyone thought it's a done deal for AAP. But in the last 2 months, everybody covering the campaign on the ground and the beat reporters have been saying that, look, the BJP's graph is, if there's a trend line, that BJP line has been going up and getting closer and closer to AAP. It is a contest, right? Yeah. Now, what is also, so AAP certainly doesn't look as impregnable as it looked 2 months ago. The other thing that has happened is that the Congress, which basically is an also ran in this contest, seems to have fought a good campaign in 13 to 14 seats. Right now we don't know how much vote share it will get and or how many seats it will get, but there is certainly a sense in the Delhi Congress or elements of Delhi Congress saying that they need a BJP victory if they have for their own politics to continue. So in that sense, it's almost been a B team of the BJP in this contest, right? The third thing I think is what is different from the last campaign to now is that there was a model of AAP which was based on a whole bunch of freebies, electricity and things like that. A lot of the voters at that point believed that if AAP loses power, they will lose that, especially if BJP comes to power. This time the BJP has made a very concentrated push that they are offering all that and more and saying that not only will you get this, you will get more things, right? So that hesitation has gone away. Now whether the voters buy into that is a different question. All 3 parties are offering similar
buying
amount
into
of
that
goodies.
Perhaps because the BJP has gone back to freebies in Madhya Pradesh, it's gone to freebies in Haryana and also in Maharashtra. Does that then say, acha theek hai, wahan de rahe hain, to yahan bhi continue shayad karenge, so it's possible that they're not going to take it away.
Definitely saying that, and I think that the liquor scam has had an impact on some women voters. How much we have to see. Now, but this election will eventually be won and fought in the Juggi Jopuri areas.
If we can dwell on the vote share bit, one is the overall voter turnout has also come down by about 2% compared to 2020. And it's come down by 7% compared to 2015, where the voter turnout itself, if you were to see, 67% voter turnout had come, and now it is 60, and it's 60.5. Who is that going to hurt? And if you look at these projections for all the pollsters, if we have the vote share projection, has anybody given a 5%, 6% gap? Or is everybody looking at...
Axis, for example, I don't have the vote share figures with me, but Axis had given, I think, 48 or 49 to BJP and 41 or 42 to
I think we just had it on screen.
To the Aam Aadmi Party. So there was a 5% plus. But I think this election will basically be won or lost on the women vote. And Rahul has been saying this for a while. The Mahila vote will essentially decide who wins this election. For the first time in the last 11, 12 years since the Aam Aadmi Party came into the reckoning in the national capital, for the first time, at least as far as Axis's exit poll is concerned, he is saying 2% more women are voting for the BJP as compared to the Aam Aadmi Party. If this happens, like I said, this is his exit poll. These are not exact polls. We'll know that when the numbers come in. But if this is true, that 2% more women have voted for BJP as compared to AAP, then I think this election is done and dusted. And Rahul has a view on that. I think what we've seen in Maharashtra with Ladki Behan, what we've seen in Madhya Pradesh with Ladli Behna, etc., I believe we have to take a break, would have had an impact if the numbers turn out like this.
Well, it's result day live. In a few hours, the mandate will be clear. Will the Mahilas play a decisive role? And also, don't forget the 18 to 24, 25 years old, the college-going, university-going students. Will they also perhaps lean on one party against the other? What are those numbers? Who are these critical factors? Just as we are waiting for counting to get underway, we're going to take a very quick break. Stay with us.
The stage is set for the results of a three-cornered contest between the Aam Aadmi Party, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress Party in the national capital. And here's where you get the most accurate numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the News 18 live result hub and we can definitely boast of having a flawless track record of getting you the real results. Now, these are no inflated figures, no hearsay. Here's where you get the accurate data because we have our reporters, 22 of them, who are spread across 19 counting centers that are looking at the votes polled in 70 constituencies of the national capital. They give us the real-time data. That data is fed here at the live result hub and only then it gets reflected onto your screens. So trust News 18 live result hub. It is verified. Mama.
You have a voice! You don't just have the voice if you're connected or elected, you have a voice!
Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate. Where not appropriate, we won't. But he does have a good natural instinct. He's got a team of very talented people. We're trying to shrink government, and he can probably shrink it as well as anybody else, if not better.
We represent 37 agencies, and each of those agencies delivers for the American people. You know, do you depend on having clean water? Do you want your food inspected so you know what you're eating? Do you know what's coming across the border? All of those things are supported by federal employees and are at risk. They've issued at least 3 emails that I am aware of pushing this deferred resignation. The Treasury Department has informed the IRS that even employees who ask to go on this, if they are part of the filing season, they will not be permitted until May 15th. And so, can you imagine being an employee who has received a letter of this nature, told you're not really productive, we want to get rid of you, resign now, but wait a minute, we need you through May 15th because you're involved in the filing season. Again, these letters went across the board to 2.3 million federal employees and asked them to end their careers. Nobody has taken the work away. Nobody has said what will happen to the services that the American people depend on. And yet they've been asked to sign an agreement that is unclear, does not provide any guidance for them, and there's no guarantees for it. In fact, the documents that have been given to these employees gives 100% power to the government and 0 to the employee. So if you sign this document and then later change your mind, you are left without any power to fight back. And so for those reasons, I do not recommend people sign a document. They need to have control of their own career, and this document does not give it to them.
I've also taken strong action to regain control of the Washington bureaucracy. Just for clarification purposes, because it was incorrectly reported yesterday, we have informed the federal workforce, which they've looked to do for many years, that if they're working for the federal government, they must show up to the office on time and on schedule. We don't want them. We don't want them to work from home because, as everyone knows, most of the time they're not working. We're requiring them to show up to work or be terminated. We think a very substantial number of people will not show up to work, and therefore our government will get smaller and more efficient, and that's what we've been looking to do for many, many decades, frankly. Just for clarification purposes, because it was incorrectly reported yesterday, we have informed the federal workforce, which they've looked to do for many years, that if they're working for the federal government, they must show up to the office on time and on schedule. We don't want them to work from home because, as everyone knows, most of the time they're not working, they're not very productive, and it's unfair to the millions of people in the United States who are in fact working hard from job sites and not from their home. As federal employees, they must meet a high standard. They're representing our government, they're representing our country. If they don't agree by February 6th to show up back to work in their office, they will be terminated, and we will therefore be downscaling our government. Most of the people we're talking about have not been going to their federal offices in many, many years, from even before COVID. But they have nevertheless been paid. Some have worked, some haven't worked, and most of the studies say that some have just gone through the motions. We may ask these people to prove that they didn't have another job during their so-called employment with the United States of America, because if they did, that would be unlawful.
What are you signing now?
It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
It's Result Day Live, the battle for Delhi, the real numbers here on News 18. Counting will get underway, and we will know who will be seen or sit on the kursi of Delhi Vidhan Sabha. Will it be a hat-trick for Arvind Kejriwal, or will it be, after nearly 3 decades, the return of the BJP in Delhi? Many believe it's a two-horse race and the Congress is an outlier. What are the factors? Let's signpost some of the key factors. Let's bring in the bus here. Delhi ki ye bus. Oh, auto wale hain is baar. Chaliye, dekhte hain. Voter turnout at a 17-year low at 60.4%. Is that going to be a decisive factor, this voter turnout? Who's it going to help? Who's it going to hurt? The other aspect, the middle class, Mahila, will they play a decisive role? There are many within the studio and outside, and also viewers watching this. They believe this Mahila voter may swing one way or the other. And if they swing in favor of Kejriwal, will that salvage another return for him? Although with perhaps far reduced numbers. Congress up in the race for the Muslim vote. Are they all trying to corner the same vote bank? Is Congress going to be able to woo some of those voters who were disenchanted with it nearly a decade ago? Will they see a return to the Congress, and will there be a revival of the Congress in Delhi at the cost of AAP? We have to wait and watch. Exit polls are projecting a BJP victory, but exit polls need not always be exact polls. That's something which we have seen in the recent past, starting Lok Sabha 2024. Also, out of power since 1998, is the BJP set to return? It will be a big story for the BJP, which is the biggest political party in the world, spread all across Bharat in 18 states and union territories. But Delhi, the political capital, the epicenter of all politics, is not in its grasp for the last 27 and a half years. And pollsters predict an AAP slide. Will it slide behind or below the halfway mark? Or will they just tip the numbers in their favor? We have to wait and watch. Those numbers will come through. Zaka Jacob, Aman Sharma, Ravi Srivastav, Pallavi Ghosh, Nalin Mehta and Rahul Shivshankar with us in the studio. Smita Prakash, Rahul Verma with us. Rahul Shivshankar, beyond the Mahila, is there any other deciding factor? And I agree with Rahul.
So, yeah, there is another deciding factor, and that is the, as I said, the underclass, the really poor, urban poor. Now, they've also benefited. Don't forget that the urban poor gets free electricity, water, etc. up to certain limits. They've also been at some level or the other courted, and these have been difficult times for the poor. Let's not beat around the bush. Inflation has been high. The middle class has got a bit of a reprieve in this budget, but the urban poor really got badly hit after COVID. Let's never forget that. There was a lot of displacement and at some level a lot of disenchantment. Now, has that really translated into some kind of anti-incumbency against the AAP, or will that be directed against the BJP? One doesn't know. Remember, Mr. Kejriwal had come out on the back of COVID, at least the first wave, and come out and said very clearly that, look, the central government has let you down. I'm your only hope now. The central government came out and said, look, we are the ones who are giving you rations, etc. We are the ones who have taken care of you, given you a immunity concoction to take. And most importantly, they also said that, look, we kept you safe. Now, I've been reading a lot over the last few days in the press, and that COVID hangover hasn't still evaporated. So I don't know how that is going to play out. We don't know how much of a recovery there has actually been on the ground for these people to feel stable enough to look beyond the immediate. That is really the unknown factor. The women voter and the poorest of the poor in the union capital.
So if you look at the Dalit voter, I mean, and again, we've got two polls, 2020, the Lokniti poll, which Professor Sanjay Kumar and his team have run. So the Dalit voter, the SC, Jatav, non-Jatav Dalits, the Balmikis, and they're again, largely split in what is called the JJ clusters, the Juggi Jopadi clusters in Delhi. In 2020, the AAP got 2 out of 3 Dalits. 2/3 of the Dalit vote went to the Aam Aadmi Party. In the 2025 exit poll, as per Axis My India, that figure has fallen substantially. From 2/3, it's come to almost half. So we're looking at somewhere around a 13-14% decline in the Dalit voter. If this is true, and again, not all of that 13-14% has gone to the BJP. The BJP's figure has gone from 26 to 34. That's only an 8% increase. So which means the other 4 or 5% has gone either to the Congress or to others, independents, smaller parties, etc. But the fact is, it's taking away from the Aam Aadmi Party one of its core voter bases. If this is true, then again, that's a massive dent in the AAP's core vote.
But Rahul Verma and Smita Prakash, let's take that out of the studio to our guests joining us via live link, and then bring it back into the studio. Rahul Verma, is the number of this Mahila, lower middle class and also the working class and the poorest of the poor, is it going to outweigh or outnumber the middle class of Delhi and also perhaps the business work class of Delhi, the Punjabis, the Banias and all of them? Because there is a disenchantment that Kejriwal has not lived up to a lot of the promises. Diwali हमारी बहुत गंदी गई because it was all dirty all around. 2 साल से MCD आपके पास है, कहाँ साफ हुआ? Yamuna, the reaction, the Yamuna poison remark, that was a sign of desperation. How can somebody who is a former chief minister claim genocide, etc.? Wasn't that unnecessary fear-mongering, irresponsible? But what about the sewage ke pahad, kachre ke pahad? All of these, are they not irritants?
Okay, let me first make a point on what Zaka just said. See, Zaka, Aam Aadmi Party's vote share in 2020 was 55%. Now the projection is around 41-42%. That means on an average, they are losing 13% vote, which will be spread across all the community, whether it's core or non-core. You will see a similar kind in core lesser, in non-core more, right? So 10% loss in Dalit vote doesn't mean anything big if on an average they are losing 13% vote. The second, I think, which is about, how do we define middle class is a sort of like a problematic idea to begin with. Delhi, compared to all other states and union territories, will have a larger middle class compared to them. And so middle class votes matter in Delhi more than in any other part of India. But poor, and especially the bottom half of the spectrum, economic spectrum, is always going to be larger in any state, and they are also more likely to turn out to vote. And so, given that their demographic weight is high and they relatively participate more in elections, if they turn out for a particular party in a larger number, then they will decisively have an impact what is going to have. Whether BJP has been able to wean a section of poor voters from AP with promises, with mobilization, and whether they were able to convince in last 15 to 20 days, as is being argued, that the kind of infrastructural development between 2020 and 2025 has been not great, and it has affected everyone, including the poor. And so a section of poor might also move out up just on governance issue. There could be other issues, as Anand is pointing out. Sometimes people may get hurt if you sort of like say things against their religious sentiments, because rivers in our sort of like system are not just water bodies.
Yeah.
Some people have emotional attachment, and those could also sort of like play a role.
That's a good point.
Yes, it's not just a religious sentiment. It's the same person who in 2013, 2015, 2020 said some things. In 2020, he said, if I don't clean up the Yamuna by 2025, don't vote for me. That all those things are there for people are watching. But Smita Prakash, your thoughts? Can the Mahila voter really influence the vote? And if there is a slide, not just in vote share as predicted by the exit pollsters, but also in the voter turnout, what does that imply?
Yeah, I know it's a little confusing, because if it's a low voter turnout, how come it's showing an anti-incumbency? All these polls are showing anti-incumbency. The traditional way to think is that high voter turnout leads to anti-incumbency. So I can't figure that out. About the men and women, the analysts who are coming on all TV channels and all the pollsters, they are saying that that women have voted for Aam Aadmi Party traditionally in the past 3 elections, and they still believe in Arvind Kejriwal. And if en masse they have voted for Arvind Kejriwal as before, then he should have done better. But it seems like the Ladki Behan might have had something. But I find it strange to imagine that, what they're saying is that women have voted completely one way and men have voted completely the other way. And because there are more men voters, hence the BJP is doing more. It's a bit simplistic to see it like that, I feel. You also mentioned, of course, the Dalit vote has been talked about. You mentioned the Punjabi Baniya vote. They're traditional voters of the BJP. And I think there are about 34 seats, assembly seats in Delhi where they have an effect. And if they have, like they vote in the national elections, if they have voted towards the BJP in this election, that means that the BJP, that is what you're seeing as far as this is concerned. The middle class, I remember when the exit polls were happening, you were saying that you were in this airport where everybody burst out into cheer when the budget came out. And that was the upper middle class which was aware. So if Delhi upper middle class has reacted in that manner, which is like aware of the benefits that they are getting because of this tax break, if they have decided, which again that means they were undecided till the last minute, and in 3 days they have changed their mind, that means very self-aware. And they understand what that bonanza means. So I thought it's only the undecided, but apparently it's not. What the pollsters are saying is that had an impact.
Yeah, here's the thing, Smita.
As far as the lower middle class is concerned, just a few points that I want to make.
Yeah, I just want to say that someone who is earning 12 lakh rupees per annum still considers themselves middle class, but they still feel they can travel by airplane. So that definition of the middle class is a little in the thing. And if they are saying 12.75 lakhs is tax free for me from the 1st of April onwards, it's a big change in mindset. And that's why people were reacting, not just people who were perhaps in a higher income bracket, 25 lakhs plus, but even between 12 to 15 lakhs. Even those who are earning 25 lakhs won't think of themselves as upper middle class. In their head, they are still middle class. That's how it is. So that's a big number is what I was trying to say. Yes, you wanted to say something about the LMGs. Yes, please.
Yeah, so that also means that if this kind of conversation has happened in homes now. Let's presume that most homes have access to television sets. So all the debates, everything was about more money being in the hands of whether it is lower middle class or middle class, but a salaried employee has more money in the hands. More money in the hands means more disposable income even for a woman. So when she has to think twice about buying a sari, buying the shoes for the second pair of shoes for her children, or buying a new water bottle or a tiffin box, that gives her that confidence. It's not just the Ladki Behan Yojana money which is coming in. It's not just the cylinder at Holi and Diwali which is going to come free, but it's also the extra tax break which is going to come in. So many things must be playing in the mind.
But in that case, as Ravi Srivastava had said the other day,
then
they will prefer status quo, bringing it back into the studio, saying Kejriwal jo de raha hai, yahan de raha hai, Sarkar bhi de rahi hai, it's okay. So they are in the center, let him continue in the state. We will enjoy from both because both are giving us right hand se hisse lenge, left hand se hisse lenge. That could be a mentality. But we've got about 5 minutes before we've got to move into the next wheel of our coverage here on Result Day Live. So just quickly asking all of you in studio, if the AAP makes a hat trick, what does that imply? What does that mean from a national scenario? So RSS, that part, and then the flip. If AAP is out, what does then that mean in the national scenario?
So very quickly, the BJP, as I said, is eyeing Delhi not just because it's eluded it, but because the AAP is in power there and they sense that if they win, then they have a chance of steamrolling the AAP out of the equation nationally. If, however, the BJP doesn't pull this off, let me tell you what the AAP will come back with. They'll first say that, look, all the agencies of the world were set against us and the people rejected it. So that means that there was a vendetta politics at work. None of these charges are actually of any consequence. The people believe that I'm innocent. In the people's court, I'm innocent. Now you continue with whatever you want to do. And let me tell you, the BJP will have a problem prosecuting some of those cases. I feel that they'll just disappear or slow down or whatever it is. Secondly, most importantly, the BJP will be reminded that as far as Kejriwal is concerned, he still has pretty much the pulse of a wide variety of Indians. Because remember, Delhi is a microcosm of this nation. And a large number of people come and settle in Delhi. So at one level, the AAP will be a huge spring in its step and will see itself as this newborn phoenix-like party that has risen from the ashes of an attempt to sort of smother it, destroy it, and it will go out there and tell the people that only we can actually take on the BJP, which is something that Kejriwal has already begun to say.
Yeah, Nalin.
Something about AAP. See, the difference between AAP and other non-BJP opposition parties is that every other opposition party is a regional party with an ethnic and sub-ethnic appeal, right? Or language-based or state-based. The difference with AAP is that AAP is a regional party from Delhi, but is now expanded in Punjab as a government in Punjab, also grew in Gujarat, is now a national party, and it is not linked to a sub-national or a ethnic message. So AAP, if there is any one party which can become a real opposition to BJP in the long term and replace the Congress, it is AAP. Because the problem that other regional parties are finding is they are finding it difficult to grow outside of their own state. Mamata tried that 4-5 years back, that experiment failed. The other party, whether it was BJD earlier, whether it was the Dravidian parties, whether it was Akali Dal, they all remained stuck to their burrows. AAP was one possibility with the possibility to expand beyond, and its appeal is to whom? Its appeal to the middle class. Its appeal is to the lower strata of society or lower economic stratas, and it's now also appealing to Hindutva. It's also right. So
they're able to saddle a little bit of everything, and then that's why.
Which is why the BJP takes AAP very seriously.
Yeah, BJP ke DNA mein is anti-Congress, anti-AAP or anti any other chhatra. But what happens with the India alliance?
So that's what I was coming to. So the India bloc will become an important story. If AAP loses, I would see the India bloc as kind of disintegrating further because they're all going to blame the Congress party. The TMC, the SP to a certain extent, it could have an impact on Bihar coalition because I think the RJD would then look at Congress as a panoti and try, let's keep them away. So that's going to be an impact. In case AAP wins, they are still going to blame the Congress, but then the noise for a face of the India bloc other than Congress, that face will increase. So the tussle will be somewhere between Mamata Banerjee and an Arvind Kejriwal.
Arvind Kejriwal. Aman?
Well, I think if BJP wins, Anand, this will be a big reaffirmation of brand Modi after Haryana and Maharashtra. BJP would term this as an hat trick. Even when you don't have a face in a way, but still Prime Minister Modi was able to pull an election like Delhi, where you had a 15% deficit in vote from the last election. It will be a miraculous, huge victory if the BJP is able to pull it like that. But I think for that to happen, what the BJP feels is that the Jhuggi vote needs to get divided. If the SC vote in Jhuggis doesn't get divided, doesn't come to the BJP in some measure, BJP may not win this election. Though the middle class, I feel, and when we went to the ground, we've seen that the middle class in this election is consolidating behind the BJP. There's 40% middle class vote in the city, but has that whole 40% gone and voted? You know, that's also a big question. On the Muslim vote, the third important aspect, I think in Delhi, Muslim vote, I feel is still with the Aam Aadmi Party. I don't think the Congress has been able to split it in any big way. At the end of the day, when it comes to freebies, the party that gives them the first has the first mover advantage. I think Aam Aadmi Party has the pole position in that. But with the Prime Minister from rallies, promising that we will give these freebies, that carries also certain credibility. So let's see what the people choose for. But I think it's ultimately will be decided in the Jhuggis of Delhi.
Right. Ravi Srivastav.
Three classes of people, the women, the Dalit and the, I just missed that, women, Dalit and minorities. All these three are solidly behind AAP, and we will see, because you have seen already, the voter is not coming out. Whatever these pollsters are doing, they are just scratching the top of the surface. They are not able to go inside and know exactly that what is happening.
Well, everybody has put their neck on the line. We are trying to say that there are multiple scenarios. It's a bonsai state, but it will have huge national ramifications at all levels. And that's what we are going to focus on as we wait for counting to get underway here on Result Day Live. Stay with us on this continuous coverage.
बात जब
You have a voice. You don't just have the voice. If you're connected or elected, you have a voice.
Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate. Where not appropriate, we won't. But he does have a good natural instinct. He's got a team of very talented people. We're trying to shrink government, and he can probably shrink it as well as anybody else, if not better.
We represent 37 agencies, and each of those agencies delivers for the American people. You know, do you depend on having clean water? Do you want your food inspected so you know what you're eating? Do you know what's coming across the border? All of those things are supported by federal employees and are at risk. They've issued at least 3 emails that I am aware of pushing this deferred resignation. The Treasury Department has informed the IRS that even employees who ask to go on this, if they are part of the filing season, they will not be permitted until May 15th. And so, can you imagine being an employee who has received a letter of this nature, told you're not really productive, we want to get rid of you, resign now, but wait a minute, we need you through May 15th because you're involved in the filing season. Again, these letters went across the board to 2.3 million federal employees and asked them to end their careers. Nobody has taken the work away. Nobody has said what will happen to the services that the American people depend on. And yet they've been asked to sign an agreement that is unclear, does not provide any guidance for them, and there's no guarantees for it. In fact, the documents that have been given to these employees gives 100% power to the government and 0 to the employee. So if you sign this document and then later change your mind, you are left without any power to fight back. And so for those reasons, I do not recommend people sign a document They need to have control of their own career, and this document does not give it to them.
I've also taken strong action to regain control of the Washington bureaucracy. Just for clarification purposes, because it was incorrectly reported yesterday, we have informed the federal workforce, which they've looked to do for many years, that if they're working for the federal government, they must show up to the office on time and on schedule. We don't want them. We don't want them to work from home because, as everyone knows, most of the time they're not working. We're requiring them to show up to work or be terminated. We think a very substantial number of people will not show up to work, and therefore our government will get smaller and more efficient, and that's what we've been looking to do for many, many decades, frankly. Just for clarification purposes, because it was incorrectly reported yesterday, we have informed the federal workforce, which they've looked to do for many years, that if they're working for the federal government, they must show up to the office on time and on schedule. We don't want them to work from home because, as everyone knows, most of the time they're not working, they're not very productive. And it's unfair to the millions of people in the United States who are in fact working hard from job sites and not from their home. As federal employees, they must meet a high standard. They're representing our government, they're representing our country. If they don't agree by February 6th to show up back to work in their office, they will be terminated, and we will therefore be downscaling our government. Most of the people we're talking about have not been going to their federal offices in many, many years, from even before COVID. But they have nevertheless been paid. Some have worked, some haven't worked, and most of the studies say that some have just gone through the motions. We may ask these people to prove that they didn't have another job during their so-called employment with the United States of America, because if they did, that would be unlawful.
What are you signing now? It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
With the numbers that the poll of poll predictions are, let's start with those numbers, because the exit pollsters have said that Delhi mein hawa badal rahi hai, and that there will not be Arvind Kejriwal as chief minister. There may not be an Aam Aadmi party too, because most of the pollsters have come out and said that there is a clear shift in the voter perception with the Aam Aadmi party over the last 10 to 12 years, and it's the BJP that could break nearly 30-year jinx and come back to power in Delhi, the state Vidhan Sabha of Delhi, for the first time since 1998. So what is the overall poll of poll numbers? Once we take a look at most of them, look at today's Chanakya and Axis India, both of them have said 50 par hai. Why? Because their thought process is, if there is a 5% difference in vote share, then it will be a nearly sweep election. It will be a wave against the AAP for the BJP. It's more an anti-AAP vote. The projection as of now is that the BJP plus in Delhi Vidhan Sabha will get around 43 seats. So 40 plus seats so guaranteed hai. Some of the pollsters are saying 50 bhi touch kar sakta hai. There are some who believe the AAP is in with a chance, but they may fall at least 8 short of the halfway number. The AAP may still get about 27 seats. Namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. You're tuned into this edition of The Right Stand with me, Anand Narsimhan. The 8th of February is a big day when Delhi election results will be declared. What will be verdict Delhi? Most pollsters have predicted its advantage the BJP, but the clear picture will be out on result day when the Election Commission declares what the mind of the Delhi voter has decided. Tune in to CNN News 18 for the accurate analysis of the verdict on Super Saturday. Real news results on News 18. On the right stand this evening, we focus towards the south, a contentious issue that has grabbed headlines over the last week. Tamil Nadu's sacred hill site is at the center of a dispute. Hindu groups claim for the past 1 month that Islamic groups have been